Good evening, conscious leaders and teams. Just a quick post for tonight. Apologies for the late post and apologies for the dark environment. I am going to cover the theme this week, at least for today. How do you work on the things that you know you need to work on, but are struggling to find the motivation to do so, for whatever the reason might be? So, few items I'll cover with that today. So I had a doctor's appointment this morning, which kind of threw off my day, and then had a couple of meetings in the afternoon, but I was just struggling to sort of get back into the groove, the rhythm of the day. So I found myself lagging on doing one of these posts. What actually got me to come out and do it was I got started with the first part. I got started coming out for a walk, and I found myself struggling to make this post. And the fact that I got started walking and got started with that initial first couple of steps that I would do to make one of these posts helped me to roll into the momentum of that. So think about ways. Is there one or two steps that you can identify for whatever task or action that you might be struggling to get started with? But simply write out one or two, maybe even three, and then get started on those tiny first steps, which will then help create a little momentum to roll you into doing the task. That's one idea. Another, can you simply find ways to make it more fun and engaging? So, talking to one of my clients today, a little bit earlier, working on a task that they were struggling with, I talked through with them identifying it to a particular hobby that they enjoy doing, and then connected that experience of this task, which maybe felt a little tedious, and then found ways to connect the joy of the hobby to ways to incorporate doing this task. So really shifting that frame, putting a new lens on that task that made it a little bit more fun and enjoyable, because they were connecting in a way that would connect them to the hobby that they enjoy doing. And then lastly, very simply, as leaders, as team members, asking yourself the question, do you absolutely need to do that task? And then if not, if you're the one that doesn't need to be doing it, obviously, or maybe not so obviously, can you delegate it? I think so often as driven leaders, driven teams, we may get caught up in this idea of feeling like we absolutely have to do that thing we said we were going to do on our to-do list. But as we're expanding into broader leadership, broader, higher performing teams, higher performing leaders, we got to start asking ourselves, what can I take off my plate? A lot of very high level leaders do this. Warren Buffett, amazing exercise, I believe he does. You can find it online on how you identify a number of priorities in your life, and then you just focus on 5 of them and you cut out the rest. So using that idea of elimination. So those are a few ideas for this topic of how do you get into a task or project that you might be struggling to get into. What are your experiences with this idea, and how have you been able to overcome in your own lives, in your own work? And as always, would love for you to share this video if you think somebody else may enjoy it. Have a good evening, everyone, and we'll be connecting again later this week. Cheers.